You are listening to Balloon Killers. I'm your host, Chrissy Riley, and each episode I'll be talking to someone from the world of cowboy mounted shooting, which is one of the most exciting and fastest growing equestrian sports. Hold on to your hats because it's going to get western. Hey everyone, it is a stunningly beautiful day here in Colorado, but I am having some serious FOMO, or fear of missing out, about nationals in Nebraska. I'm seeing everybody's posts about how excited they are and how amazing the facilities are, and I'm seriously wishing I was there, but unfortunately I have this annoying little thing called work, which of course pays for my mounted shooting habit, but nonetheless I am wishing that I was there, and I'm wishing everybody there the best of luck. This past weekend, I took my 3.5-year-old Hattie to an introduction to mounted shooting clinic with the Donuses in Erie, Colorado, and there were quite a few very green and very young horses, and all of them were absolute superstars. The Donuses did a great job of introducing mounted shooting slowly and carefully to these youngsters. I was able to shoot the 22 and the 45 from her back, shooting into the air. I haven't shot any balloons from her yet, so that will be the next challenge, and she wasn't concerned at all. In fact, the only thing that she was concerned about were the earplugs that she'd managed to shake out of her ears and were dangling from her headstall, so that was definitely a good start. We are really lucky because my local club, the Colorado Regulators, runs practices weekly all through the summer and up into September. So I'm hoping to take Hattie there every week to get her more exposure and to get her running through patterns and shooting balloons and shooting patterns, so that hopefully we'll be in some kind of decent shape to participate in the futurity, as long as everything's looking safe. I don't think she's going to be in any way competitive, but I would really like to get her out there so that she is eligible for the Derby next year. I'll also be taking her to Rock Springs in Wyoming next weekend, just for exposure, so that she can get some traveling under her belt and get used to being in a stall and get used to being in a busy shooting environment. I always ask people who come on the podcast what their favorite shoot is, and Rock Springs, Wyoming is one of my favorite shoots of the year because it's such an amazing facility. It's a really well organized shoot, and there's great added money and prizes. And while I've never won anything, I really do like browsing the swag that's out and thinking about what it might be like to win something like that one day. Another thing that I really like about Rock Springs that's become a bit of a ritual for me now is going out to find the Mustang herd that runs just outside of Rock Springs. Every year that I've been, I take a drive out and try and find them, and then I hang out for a little while and watch them and nerd out taking pictures. So heads up to anyone who's heading for Rock Springs, that's a fun little afternoon trip. I am also going to be starting a different podcast focused on CMSA clubs while I'm out in Rock Springs, and I'll be live out there, so stay tuned for more information about that. My guest for this episode is famous for shooting without a headstall or reins, and he is the owner and operator of No Reins Performance Horses. Ezra Yoder won the Level 5 class at Worlds and was 5th overall in 2024, and he has had a lot of success with horses. His horse Dr. Photon was the 2021 Horse of the Year in the Futurity, and he was also the winner in the AQHA Quarter Horse Congress in 2023. Hi, Ezra.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Good.
Now, you've got a really interesting and unique story. I actually heard a little bit of your story on the interview on, is it Horse of the West or something on Cowboy Channel?
Yes.
It was filmed at one of the majors. I think it was Vegas.
It was actually at the Worlds this
Oh, it
last
was
year.
at Worlds.
Yes.
Well, my ears pricked up when I heard that. So tell us about how you got into mounted shooting.
Yeah, so I was actually boarding at a place where they had horses. And I had a couple horses there, and I was still had my day job, and I rode a couple horses there, and they did mounted shooting, and I never heard of it, didn't know what it was, and they asked me to go come with them to a practice one weekend. So we went to the practice, and my horse was really good. She did not care about the shooting. She got a little faster as the time went on, but I was hooked right away. I was like, I've never thought that I was going to do anything more than just trail ride horses. So when I found this sport, I was hooked right away.
Did you have a background in horses?
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm. I actually grew up Amish. And so we had horses growing up, and we used them in the fields, on the road, everything we did with horses. And then as I got older, I trained a lot of horses at home, like driving horses. And then once I was 18, I started working for my neighbor. He had a training facility and he got quarter horses in. So I was always the first one to get on and put the first couple rides on. And so that's how I got into the riding horses.
Had you done any competing before mounted shooting?
No, this was the first thing that I've ever competed in.
How long have you been shooting for?
I think I started back in 2017, and the first 4 or 5 years, I just basically did like 3 or 4 local shoots per year.
Now you're well and truly involved.
I'm doing a lot more, traveling more, and going to.
So, what is it that you love about the sport?
I think it's the people. I've always watched the Western movies, and I've always thought it would be so cool to shoot a gun off a horse and ride fast, and this was the closest that I could get to that. So it's definitely the rush of running fast and shooting, and it's also a lot of horsemanship that goes into running the patterns efficiently and smooth. So I think I like the challenge, but also the rush of riding fast and shooting guns.
You're an adrenaline junkie.
Yes.
Now, on the note of horsemanship, you are famous for your bridleless runs, even at the majors. So, tell us how that came about.
Yeah, so I got her when she was a 2-year-old, and I started riding her, and I basically just had her and another horse. And so I put a lot of time in them, and I wanted a challenge. So I started riding her at home bridleless, and it just kept seeing what I could do with her and like how little I could use my reins and just use my seat and my legs. And then I decided to start doing it at competitions, and that's kind of how everything started. It wasn't easy, it was a challenge.
How has it changed your runs? How does running bridleless change your run?
I think a lot of it is when I'm running her, I have to focus on my seat and my legs a lot more than just using my hand. So I feel like it's helped me keeping my rein hand quieter and just trust her that she will make the turns and stuff, and she always does. She tries super hard. And a lot of too, like I felt when I did ride her with the bridle in my turns, I would almost pick up maybe too much and it would slow her down.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started doing it more bridleless, I felt like I wasn't in her face as much, and she could continue her momentum around the turns.
So, did it increase your time? Improve your times?
It did. I mean, obviously at first it did not, but once I got her going more, it definitely helped a lot.
Did you have any crazy wrecks in the learning process?
I did not. There was one time that when I first started, I went to a bigger competition and I decided to do shotgun for the first time. And I did it bridleless. And she's really catty and quick. And I came down the rundown shooting my shotgun, and I was still trying to like figure out the shotgun and stuff. And I asked her to go past the gate that went outside the unloading area. I swear she was going past it, and like the last minute she just ducked and dived and went out the pen, but then she stopped right there. So yeah, it wasn't a wreck, but she definitely slipped out the unloading area for me there.
They love that outgate.
Yes, they do.
So from riding bridleless, I'm guessing that's where the name of your No Reins Performance Horses came from. Speaking of no reins, tell us about No Reins Performance Horses and how it works with and or against your passion for mounted shooting.
So I think it can go both ways. I get to ride horses every day. I get new horses all the time, so it gives me a lot more knowledge on riding different horses, different ways of fixing problems and increasing the horsemanship on my part when I have this amount of horses. But it's also a little bit harder because your own horses always kind of get on the backside of being ridden all the time. So it's challenging to keep that balance where you don't have that many horses in training that you don't have time for your own.
So in your business, are you training mounted shooting horses or are you training horses generally?
I do. I have a lot of my horses are mounted shooting horses. I also start horses from the beginning, like young 2 year olds. But for the most majority of my horses are shooting horses.
How many do you tend to have at one time?
I tend to stay with 8 or 9.
That's a lot of horses.
It's a full day.
Well, you're a man of many talents because I saw this really beautiful video of you with the gorocha. I think that's right. Did I say it right? The
Yes.
gorocha. For people who might not know what that is, can you tell us more about it and how you got into it?
Yeah, so the grocha is something that they used like many centuries ago in Spain. They used the grocha pole to fight bulls and hurt cattle. Probably kind of the same thing that we would do with a rope. They would have a spur on the end of the pole where they would poke the bulls to hurt the cattle and the bull, and they would actually fight the bulls with this pole. So it's kind of they use it now in like shows. It's more of a, I guess you would call it dancing with the pole.
Mm-hmm.
And then decided I wanted to do something new, so I added the lights on it, on the horse and the pole, just for something different.
I saw it recently. I went to a working equitation demonstration, and in working equitation, they do lots of different European-based cattle work. And so
Okay.
the gorocha is like, I think it's like the top level of working equitation. But if you look at the videos, I mean, it really is beautiful. It's like dressage and dancing with the horse, but with this huge long pole as well.
Yes, your arm gets tired by the time if you spent too much time in the arena.
I can imagine. How does working in other disciplines, like doing, say, the gorocha, how does that help your mounted shooting?
It's really good just for me and for my horses to do something different than just the mounted shooting. I would say the grocha, you have to have a lot more control of your horse. It's slower and it's doing the dressage is completely different than riding Western. It just gives you more connection with the horse, I feel like, getting more feel and more horsemanship.
I think it's also really good to give your horse a break from doing everything mounted shooting to, doing different disciplines, trying different things with your horse, to give it a mental break, because that just running patterns, running around cones, doing circles in the arena can get really tedious for the horses as well as for our brains, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of why this came up. I've wanted to get something where it's a lot slower and it's a lot more control every movement. And it's definitely so important for the horses to do something else than just going really fast all the time.
I'm going to go to my regular questions now that I ask every guest who comes on the podcast. And the first one is, what's the one shoot that you don't miss each year and why?
I would have to say it would be TLC, Dave Laurie Training Center. They put it on. For one, it's kind of local here, and the facility is just, they have two nice big indoor arenas. All the stalls are indoor. They have two covered arenas where you can ride to warm up. They have a big outdoor. They have plenty of hookups, and they put on a really good shoot, and that would be one shoot that I would not miss.
Whereabouts is that?
That is in at Garwood Arena, Columbiana, Ohio.
I'm adding these to my list, you see. I have a bucket list.
Yes.
And I'm adding this to my list. What about your favorite pattern? What's your favorite pattern and why? And do you have any tips for running it?
So I would have to say 76. I think it's not really complicated to run it, but I like it. So there's a gate, the first gate you come to, and then you have to shoot the one strong and the other one off, and then go back, shoot strong. So it's really back and forth, and yeah, that's probably my favorite.
What's the win that you're most proud of and why?
I would probably say at Worlds this year, level 5 is probably my proudest win. I had my mare. I purposely wanted to take her there just because she's the one that got me started, and I've always wanted to like take her to Worlds. I've never been to Worlds. This was the first time for me to be there. And she tried really hard. She's a little small, and she doesn't have the speed that some of the other horses have, and she really tried really hard.
To what or to whom do you owe your success in the sport? And this could be people or horses.
Well, number one, my mare. She's the one that started all of it for me in the shooting. And then my friends, Janessa Hill, she's helped me a ton on when I first started, helping me with guns, loaning me guns, holsters, giving me tips on how to run the patterns. And there's so many more friends that I have that has helped me.
What's a little known fact about you? Now, maybe you've given us all of your little known facts at this point, but maybe not. Maybe there's something that you haven't told us that a lot of people in the shooting community wouldn't know.
The one known fact would be I'm really afraid of heights. I cannot do heights.
I'm very afraid of heights too, actually. I can't trail ride on the edges of cliffs or anything close to a big drop off because I get so dizzy that I worry I'm going to fall out the saddle.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me as much as just doing like skydiving and stuff like that. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could skydive now. I once did it wasn't a bungee jump, but it was a jump off a bridge with a static line. And it was terrifying. It was so terrifying. I did this in Ecuador. And it was so terrifying that the guy that was leading the operation, he said he was going to count me down from 5 to 1. And I had to jump on 1 or after 1. But I couldn't wait. He got to 4. And I couldn't wait anymore because I was so terrified that I just ran and jumped off before anyone was ready. I was like, I got to be done with this. If I'm going to do it, I just got to do it. I can't stand here and look down.
Yeah, I would have probably passed out.
I am never doing that again, I can assure you. What advice would you give to a newer shooter?
I would say find a clinic that you can go to, find a trainer that you can go ride with. And just get as much information as you can from them on how to start your horse. Don't buy guns right away. Figure out what you like, what fits your hand, what kind of grips, the holsters. I started with a set of holsters, and once I got into shooting more, I did not like the holsters, so I changed back to a different set. Figure out what stuff you want to use before you buy stuff.
Try a few different options and feel what feels right for you, right?
Yeah, and being open to go right with not just one person, because we all receive stuff differently, and I feel like sometimes if you ask one person a question, they might tell you what to do, but it doesn't register with you as if somebody else would tell you the same thing, but just in a different way. So not being caught up in like, I'm just going to have to learn from this one person. You're going to have to go home and work on yourself. So you're not just relying on the trainer to help you all the time.
Yeah, I work in education, and in education we call it gradual release. So at the beginning, when you're first starting something new, you get all of the information, and then the teacher is there to guide you every step of the way. But gradually you want to release them to independence so that they can make their own decisions and figure out how to do it themselves. And that's always the goal of a strong educator.
Yes, I think that's very important.
What are you looking forward to in 2025?
I'm super excited because I have a 3-year-old out of my mare that I will be hauling with me to shoots this year. So I'm super excited about that one. And then just meeting shooting people and hanging out with people at the shoots. I'm going to go to Nebraska this year. I'm not quite sure yet, but hopefully I'll make it to Vegas this year. I think I'll have a Derby horse this year. So I'm super excited for that one. And I'm not sure. I might have a client's horse, futurity horse for this year.
Busy. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much, Ezra. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. If you're at Nationals, have an amazing time. Know that I'm very jealous. And if you're heading to Rock Springs, I'll see you there. Please make sure to stop and say hello. I'm usually in purple and or turquoise, and I ride a flashy chromy paint with 2 blue eyes. That's Mr. Bear. If there are balloon killers you would like to hear interviewed, please email me on balloonkillers@gmail.com. That's balloonkillers, all one word, @gmail.com.